In this quick tip video, we're going to learn everything about layers. So layers are by which you organize a drawing file, and the layer command can be found under Home tab, Layers panel, and you have layers here. You can cycle through your layers fairly quickly by going in this down arrow, or you can open layer properties. So when you open layer properties, you have all your layers are set under used or used layers, non-used layers, and if you end up having XREF, each XREF will have their different layers underneath it. Now up here you have new layer or Alt N. You can freeze layer in all viewports, and we'll talk about that. And you can delete layers. Now you can set current layers by either clicking on the layer itself and then clicking this layer check bar, or you can double click on the side of the layer and make that your current layer. When you're looking at the layers panel itself, you have the on option, which is similar to the freeze option. If you turn off a layer, you're technically turning off whenever you're turning off a layer, it ends up turning off everything that is in that layer. You have the freeze. You can freeze a layer, which locks it in place and at the same time turns it off, right? You have a non-print or non-plot layers, like model space here is a non-plot layer. You can set the color of the layer, and whenever you're changing colors of your line, you should set it by layer and change it by layer. And then lastly, you have line type. Now, in order to cycle through line types, you can click on the default line type, and you can change the line weight. And then whenever you want to change the line type itself, the line weight is what you can change here. And whenever you want to change the line type, you're going to go ahead and click on continuous, and you can click on load, and you can get a dash dot line or a dot line or a fence line or a cold water line, hot water line, and a bunch of presets that are already built into AutoCAD. The way you use layers is you can actually take a drawing, and let's say you have placed everything in one particular layer. I can go ahead and turn off the dimensions on this particular file. So I would just select the layer, and I know this is in the dimension layer. I'll open up my layer property by going in LA, or I can click on layer properties under the Home tab layer panel. You can click on layer properties or type in LA, and then I come simply under dimension, and I can turn this layer off, or I can freeze the layer. And when I turn it off, I can no longer see dimension lines. I'll go back, and I can turn on dimension lines. Again, if you lock a layer, you will not be able to delete that layer or manipulate that layer. No matter what I do, I will not be able to change the lock layer. Now, lastly, you can use your layers in model space, in paper space, by turning off model space layers. What I mean by that is we have an example of a viewport here that has a layer model space turned in. I don't want to see draw floor plan inside this rectangle, as we can see here. So I can simply come in here, and in my viewport, which is here, I can type in layer, and this is my model space layer. So when I type in LA, you have freeze and you have VP freeze. VP freeze means viewport freeze. It will specifically freeze a layer inside that viewport. So in this case, I will freeze my model space layer inside my viewport, but not freeze it inside my model space. If I do this, I can simply have it turned off, and I'm going to use PS to come out of the model space. Now I have a drawing that, if I go back to my model space, has a rectangle around it that I can manipulate, I could change, but when I come to my viewport, it will no longer be visible. I hope this is a great introduction to how to use layers. And feel free to comment, subscribe, and tell me what else can be added to help you guys with AutoCAD. Please like, subscribe, and comment below.